Welcome back to the Superb Sports Media Podcast. We are your hosts. I am HookShot Drew, and we got
QT.
all right, fellas. So the second round of the NBA, the semifinals, as they call it, just wrapped up tonight. As we are recording, the Celtics just beat the Pacers in Game 1 in overtime. The Pacers were actually winning by 3 with a few seconds left, but Jaylen Brown hit a 3 to put it in overtime, and they won. So much for the upset in Game 1. The Celtics are now up 1-0, but let's not put the horse in front of the cart here. We still got to go over some of those semifinal matchups before we get on to these Western and Eastern Conference Finals. So I think we should probably start with the Celtics series since we're already talking about them. They had just beat the Cavs in what was kind of a lackluster series due to injuries. What did you guys think of that series first and foremost before we talk too much more about the Cavs?
Uh, I think it kind of went the way that we expected it to go, to be honest with you. No Jared Allen, no Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland kind of got it going late, but he was struggling in that series to begin with. So, I mean, it ended the way I think we all saw it ending. As a Laker fan, I'm just depressed. I would have loved for the Cavs to do something interesting. I'm hoping the Pacers can get their stuff together because, good Lord, what the stuff they pulled tonight. They choked this game, but it went the way we expected, in all honesty.
Yeah, I didn't see the Cavs winning that series, but I thought they'd put up more of a fight. I think injuries kind of plagued them and took away what little fight they did have. But yeah, it went exactly how I thought it would go.
I personally had, looking at the notes here for what we had before, Q had Celtics in a sweep. You had them winning in 6, so they kind of split the difference in 1 and 5. I honestly did believe the Cavs would find a way to win that in 7. Jared Allen never came back in that series. Not making excuses here, but Cavs just did not get it done. And within days of that series ending, we already got the trade rumors. I'm sure you guys, Lakers fans, have seen them. I've seen both Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell linked to the Lakers. Would you guys want to see either of those guys head to your Lakers?
I so I'm a little conflicted on Darius Garland. He kind of had an up and down year this last year, and that kind of makes me scared because Darius Garland gets paid like a star. So if he were to come over, it would literally be him, LeBron, AD, and minimum contracts. So, or and the pieces that we've retained over the last couple of years. So you better be very sure Darius Garland is that guy. And I know I'm going to get some hate for this, but like, let's compare D'Angelo Russell's this last year and Darius Garland. Which one do you think is better? I kind of think they're similar. So I'm a little on the fence with Darius Garland. Donovan Mitchell, star power. I think he takes us to another level. And then you also have somebody there after LeBron's gone. The problem is it's literally those three guys and a bunch of guys, in my opinion. Because you're going to give up a lot to get him. You're going to give up all those first round picks. You're going to give up Rui. You might have to give up Austin Reeves as well. So you'll have Donovan Mitchell, but at what cost? You know what I mean? So if it was me, if nothing better can be done, I'll take Donovan Mitchell. But I'm very on the fence with Darius Garland. I'm very on the fence with him.
Yeah, I have to agree. I would not trade for Darius Garland. If you have to trade for any of the two, I would trade for Donovan Mitchell. Although he makes a great point, at what cost? You're going to have to give up the depth you need to win a championship to get Donovan Mitchell. So I don't see that being too much of a progression. Like, yeah, you'd have your 3-star model, which would be expensive, but you have no depth behind that. It'd still be hard to win. But if you had to choose between the two, I would choose Donovan Mitchell because Darius Garland, although a young rising player, I don't know if he's a superstar yet, but he is a nice piece. He's definitely a starter in the league. He has potential to be a star. He did show his non-experience in the playoffs and being a young player, but I won't fault him for that because, again, he is a young player, but he did have his troubles in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and
he did.
Donovan Mitchell was hurt with the calf injury, so that handicapped the Cavaliers as well. So I knew they'd win at least one, which they did. Donovan Mitchell went crazy, but I didn't see them winning the series.
It was a gentleman's sweep. Gentleman's sweep.
I'm glad you guys are being realistic about it because I was telling you guys this off camera, but I was seeing a lot of Lakers fans saying that they're going to get both of them, which I'm just really wondering how they would do the trade if they were going to expect that to happen
There's no way cap wise they could
No
do
way.
that.
without
And
giving
there
up
was
LeBron or AD.
Yeah, and there was
Yeah,
that report that said that if Donovan Mitchell returns, Darius Garland would request a trade. You know, he wants to be the lead guard. He wants the ball in his hand to show what he can do. And if I'm being honest, I would feel the same way. Before Donovan got there, Darius Garland was looking pretty nice. And I'm not gonna say like he's been horrible since Donovan's got there, but he takes a step back. His points are going to dip in certain situations because at the end of the game, Donovan's going to have the ball in his hands, right? And Donovan's a very high usage player. Like, I think in some scenarios, Donovan Mitchell should just play the point guard because, like you're going to have the ball in your hands most of the time anyway. So you could probably put like a 3 and D, two next to him, maybe some more defensive pieces around him, and then go from there. But that's just my opinion.
that's what I think the Lakers should do if they do trade for Donovan Mitchell. They should definitely move him to the point.
For
So the
sure.
ball can be in his hand. And I mean, if you got to pass anybody, why not pass to LeBron and Anthony Davis? But again, we'll see what the Lakers do.
Yeah, and see what the Cavs
Yeah.
do because I don't see them necessarily wanting to pull the plug. I mean, they know that they had a bunch of injuries, and that was the main reason why their season went up in smoke. I mean, they're still against a team that was probably better than them, but I mean, if you have your entire starting five out there, you won one game, you probably could win at least another one after that. So I'm looking here at the other Eastern Conference matchup from this last week. Oh, in a series we all got wrong. We all got the Knicks in six. Obviously, that did not happen. As we just mentioned, the Pacers lost to the Celtics game one. Pacers beat the Knicks in 7 games. Went all the way to the distance. The Knicks, of course, probably bit the injury bug even more than the Cavs did. Even at the very end, even Jalen Brunson was hurt. What were your guys' thoughts on the Pacers Knicks series and the viability of the Pacers going forward against the Celtics in this Eastern Conference Finals matchup?
It came down to injuries, as you were saying, with the Knicks. The Knicks, they have the team. I think if their coach next year can have their usage rate be a lot better and not put so many minutes on the star players, I think they'll be great. You get Julius Randle back. That's going to be a really good team. OG Anunoby. The Pacers, in my opinion, no offense to them, they're overachieving right now. I think they would not be in the position that they're in if the Knicks weren't as hobbled as they are or injury stricken as they are. I don't see them winning this series at all. I could see them stealing a game or two in Indiana because they do have a great crowd and Tyrese Halliburton, although he has shown that he's prone to have some turnovers as well as weird mistakes, he's good at home and he's a young growing player. So I could see them winning one, probably a gentleman's sweep though. But in my opinion, the Celtics are definitely going to take this and head on to the finals.
I agree. The ride the Celtics have gone on to get where they're going is probably the easiest it has ever been and will be. If they do not capitalize on this opportunity, that is a mistake. As far as the Knicks, they should have won that, but the Knicks, man, losing to the Pacers in a 7 game series is head scratching. But then when you look back on it and you actually you watch some of the things that went on during the series, overplaying all your players. Injuries were a part of it, right? No Julius Randle, no OG. Jalen Brunson looked a little hobbled. Josh Hart had that abdominal thing. So like everybody was kind of banged up, and for the most part, I really do feel like that was because of just getting ran completely into the ground. So for me, if I'm management, I would find some way to, hey, can we get another assistant coach in there to kind of help him with the rotations or maybe help him with, because I don't feel like it was a depth thing. I feel like the Knicks have okay depth. You just relied on the 5 guys that got you there way too much. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully this summer Thibodeau will get in the lab, relook over some of his rotations. I mean, we knew the Knicks were either going to run out of gas in that series, or if they beat the Pacers to go to face the Celtics, they would run out of gas in that series. Because let's be honest, the Celtics were going to give whoever came out of the Pacer Knicks series a run for their life. You know what I mean? Like you needed all that energy that you gave in that series for the next one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with both of your guys' points on that. It's shocking to see the Knicks fall apart like that after such a strong season. But I mean, as you mentioned, the
Yeah.
minutes were through the roof, and I mean, everyone at this point in the season is playing with something. But the Knicks, if they were just used a little bit less than they were, especially the last month of the season, you might see some things be a little bit different. Some of those tough break injuries, like with Julius Randle, you don't know when it's going to happen, so it could happen anytime.
Yeah.
So my favorite team, Mavericks, still buzzing about that series against the Thunder. Wow, I mean, we won in six. I still something can't believe it. I mean, I did expect to win that series, but at the same time, I was a bit afraid of the baby Thunder. They have a lot of strong players. I myself am wondering why Josh Giddey didn't actually play that much in this series. I'm wondering what that's about. There's going to be a lot of off-season storylines this NBA off-season. There's going to be a lot of players switching team. Not to say that Josh Giddey is one of those, but it is weird that as good of a season as he had, that they would go to a mostly unproven depth player to ride him out the entire series. So, what did you guys think of the Mavericks Thunder series and how that series shook out?
I thought the
So
Mavericks and the Thunder series was a really good series. I thought it showed the greatness of each player: Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren. I think Chet Holmgren, that's when he hit his rookie wall. That's when he showed the inexperience. Not to say that he doesn't have that dog in him, because he definitely does, but he kind of wilted back. Like Shea, you can see the aggressiveness and the want to there, but he didn't have his running mate with him. And that'll be great for them going forward. I feel like this is something that's going to mold the Thunder going forward and really help them propel them to where they need to be. It's also already being reported that the Thunder are shopping Josh Giddey this summer. So we'll see if that's any truth or validity to that. But the Mavericks, seizing the moment. Kyrie Irving's a great player. Luka Doncic, you love the maturity, you love the maturation, and the love you see in his eyes for his teammates and the want to be better. He's trying to get better at complaining. He's playing through, the not so great shooting nights. He's a good defender when he tries. And I think that's the biggest surprise and most exciting thing about Luka is because you see a different guy. Like they're getting a lot out of him. And I really think the Mavericks can seize this moment right now. So I think it was a really good win, a really good series for them. Like I really do. I don't know. It feels kind of special over there in Dallas. I won't lie. Like you look at them and that team looks happy to play it for one another. It's refreshing.
yeah, I think the Josh Giddey thing, he wasn't playing very well, to be honest. And I think that's why they went away from him. I don't agree with it though. I honestly think that you should let him play through his mistakes in order for him to be prepared moving forward. Now knowing what we know now though, they're gonna shop him. They're gonna try to move him to get some depth. And to be honest, I wonder if that's more so from his play or more so from like some of the things that happened around him this season. We won't go into all of that, but I'm sure some people are aware of some of the things that went on with him this season. So I think it just might be one of those things where he needs a like a fresh change, like a new change of scenery, and maybe he'll be different. We'll see. Josh Giddey really has to get in there and work on that shot, man. You can't have all these nice intangibles and then have no jump shot. You got to work on that shot, and I think he needs to work on his aggression a little bit. I know he's a playmaker; he likes to set up, but bro, go get a bucket. You know what I mean? Like I think if he just would have gave them, I don't know, man, maybe like 12 or 13 points, we'd be looking at a totally different series. One thing I did want to ask you about though, Drew, how did you feel about that call on the last game? It's Shea fouls, and that's kind of what seals the game. And I know a lot of Thunder fans were upset, like, oh, you can't call that foul, like you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. But it was a clear foul, and it cost them the series. Like, how did you feel about that?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't. I know this is gonna sound really, really strange coming from a Mavericks fan, but I didn't see much of a foul there, even as a Mavs fan. And there's stuff all playoffs that they weren't calling that was worse than that. So
Yeah.
I mean, including in that series, including in the Clippers series, really, there's a lot of stuff on both sides that they weren't calling. So I personally, if I'm a ref, I probably don't call that foul. I know it benefited us,
Mm.
but I could see why Thunder fans were aggravated. I mean, I don't know. That's just me though. It benefited us, so we moved on.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought a little bit. I thought that I think this whole like playoff series, not just that series. I think everybody is allowed to play a lot more. They're allowed to be a lot more physical. They're allowed. they're allowing a lot of stuff this playoffs, and I love it. But that call was, it was a little iffy. But like you said, if I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan, I don't care. We won. If
Exactly.
I'm a Thunder fan, I'm livid. Like you can't call that foul. But to be honest with you, I feel like the Thunder, this was their coming out party. You had a chance to do something really special. And I think for the most part they did, right? They made it a series. They won 6 games. Should it have probably gone more? You being a number one seed, I think everyone thinks that like they should have done more. But in all honesty, I think this is their first real season showing what they're capable of and what they will be capable of.
Oh yeah.
So you you did okay, man. Like you gotta. It's like everyone's been saying since they went on this little run with the number one seed. You have to lose, unfortunately, to learn how to win, and I think that's what this series taught them. We have to be better with executing. We have to be better with. Like, I think everybody on the roster went home this summer and was like, "We got to be better." Even the coaching staff probably was like, "We got to be better," because we could have went to the conference finals if we just would have done a couple more things better. You know what I mean? So
I don't think they should I don't think they should let go of Giddy. I think this team proved that they were as good as
I
they were
agree.
advertised. I mean, even better than they were advertised. They were the youngest team ever in NBA history to be the number one seed by average of age. I mean, SGA is one of the older players on their team, and he's not old at all. Jalen Williams, I think, really showed that he can be a strong number two. And then that's Jalen Williams. They still got Dort, they still got Holmgren, they still got Josh Giddey if they keep him. So I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they have a strong nucleus of talent, and they still have a bunch of picks. They still got a bunch of cap space. They're set up pretty. I don't think there's any reason to get nervous and start trying to make a lot of trades just to make something shake. I mean, as you mentioned, they were 1 or 2 wins away from being in the conference finals, and you never know what's going to happen from there. I'm glad T made a point about Luka Doncic. When he wants to play defense, he plays defense. I think his defense in this series was more impactful than his offense. His shooting numbers were
Mm-hmm.
way, way
It
down.
was.
And he was in the passing lanes. He was breaking up passes. He was blocking shots. He was making life a lot harder on the Thunder. One of the biggest strengths of the Thunder is like all of their guys can pass, and by him hopping into passing lanes and really shutting things down, he made it a lot harder for them. The Thunder weren't really playing the type of basketball that they were known for throughout the season that got them the number one seed in the first place. So they were out of sorts a lot, and SGA just kind of had to play bully ball and hero ball in order to keep these games close. So that's part of the youth of it. And I love to see it a little bit because I was really nervous about if their coach could keep them locked in or not. But I think they're going to be strong for years to come. I think this was a very successful season for them. I hope they're not looking at it like, man, we should have went even further. Very successful season by almost every metric that you could really consider. So the Thunder should not really be looking at this as a failure at all. So that's my 2 cents anyway.
Can I also highlight one more thing? I thought Kyrie Irving's playmaking was very clutch down the stretch. When I
Yeah,
watched
absolutely.
some of those games at first, I was like, why is he passing so much? And then I started to realize that he was bringing the others per se with him, and that matters so much down the stretch in that series. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I would say Irving's passing was huge too. I mean, there was games where he didn't score a lot of points, but he set guys up. PJ Washington, honestly, was I think our leading scorer in like 3 of the wins, which was probably
PJ
not
went
what
nuts.
anyone. I don't think anyone expected him to outscore Kyrie and Luka in multiple wins in the series. So let's talk about the other series and the Western Conference matchup. The Wolves beat the champs in 7 games. I know you guys were very excited about that.
You mean the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Yes.
The, the newly crowned Los Angeles Timberwolves is what we're calling
Okay.
it.
I
So
ain't
yeah,
going that far.
in 7 games, it went the full distance. Early in the series, it looked like it might start being a blowout. They went up 2-0, but the Nuggets fought back in it as champs. But in 7 games, and game 7 was pretty nice. It was a nice game to watch too. So Timberwolves have arrived. Anthony Edwards wants to take over the NBA now. He's not willing to wait. And Rudy Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. They have a squad, and that's not even talking about Jaden McDaniels or Mike Conley or any of these other guys they have. Very strong team. Mavericks have their work cut out for them. What did you guys think of that series? Besides the fact that you were happy to see the Nuggets fall, what do you think? The Timberwolves are for real, or do you think the Nuggets may have lost their luster? Which one is it for you guys? Wolves that good, or the Nuggets are past their prime?
think it's a little bit of
Ant
both.
Man, yeah, that's him.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the Nuggets are still a good team. I still think they have a lot of wins left in them. They could definitely win another championship. It's just about retooling for them and finding the right depth pieces around that. I think they ran out of gas. That's what it seemed like coming down the
Yeah.
stretch whenever you watch the game, especially in game 7, because their legs look tired. Like every shot that they were making, they really weren't. So I think they just ran out of gas. When it comes to the Timberwolves, I think they're just seizing the moment. I think they're a good team, and it's not by surprise either. They've been bubbling, doing this for years. Like Ant's been on grind, Cat's been on the grind with the Timberwolves for years, trying to get that organization to be where they are now. So it's not by mistake. You know, they traded for Rudy Gobert, thinking that he would be a piece that could help them get to where they're at. So like all of this is by design, and they've really been bubbling trying to get to where they're at. So I really think you see Anthony Edwards, and he's got that look in his eyes. Like I really think they're seizing the moment and saying like, "Hey, this could be our moment right now." At least that's what I see from them.
I agree, honestly. With the Timberwolves, what I like about them is they're young, they're scrappy, they're talking stuff. Like I really like that about their team. It makes them super likable, and the fact that this could be their first ring together, even more likable for me. Now, beating the Nuggets, icing on the cake for me. Icing on the cake. But I do agree with T. I think the Nuggets trying to repeat is hard. You know, they were in the running for that number one seed for a little while too. I think people forget that. So they were playing really good basketball for a very long time. Um, so going into this series, I think they just ran out of gas, man. Jamal Murray didn't look like himself for most of that series and the one with the Lakers, even though they beat the Lakers. Jokic was Jokic. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't a fan of him getting all of those MVPs, but when you really watch Jokic, you kind of get it. The man is incredible, and I don't know if he's gonna be like this for the next 10 years or however long he's in the league. Because, this can be tiring. Going back to what I was just saying, this can be very tiring. Putting up triple doubles, winning championships, winning, during the regular season. All of that can be very taxing on you. So, hopefully they go home and get some rest and retool. The Timberwolves, they seized the moment. And I think the Timberwolves, their depth shined through. Because if you remember, Karl Anthony Towns was in foul trouble every single game. It seemed like he was, yeah, every single game he was in foul trouble. So, and then Rudy Gobert fouled out of the last game, and then Cat came in. Cat also, I want to give him credit for his defense. It mattered. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the Timberwolves just seized the moment, and down the stretch, yeah, the Nuggets ran out of gas a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is Cat's best series of his career, probably his best basketball he played. I mean, he's been an up and down player when it matters, especially on the defensive end. He's always been the offensive juggernaut that he is, but he stepped up at big time in this series. He's always in foul trouble. He's perpetually in foul trouble. I make jokes about that. He's
Yeah, he fouls a lot.
he really can't just hard foul somebody and just be so shocked that they called foul. It's fun watching Cat because I will say that he's an entertaining guy. Timberwolves to me are a team that is ready to go now. I could see them winning a championship this year. Of course, I don't want it to be at the expense of the Mavericks, but they're very healthy. Anthony Edwards is that guy right now. He's probably the best player as far as how well he's playing. He's probably the best player left in the playoffs in terms of health and how strong he's playing. Doncic is obviously beat up a little bit, so I don't think he's
Over Jason
100%.
Tatum,
I would say over Jason Tatum. He's been playing better than Jason Tatum.
I agree.
I think
Just wanted to put that out there.
it's just like when Jimmy Butler was in the playoffs for those couple of years, yeah, is he normally the best player? No, but he was playing like he was the best player. And I think
Yeah.
this year Anthony Edwards is playing like he's the best player left. And usually the best player left, it takes it the distance, at least the finals. So we'll see what happens. I think we match up well with him. I think we match up a lot better than the Nuggets. Now, you mentioned the MVP with Jokic. I did think that Doncic should have won this year, but a lot of my annoyance with that kind of went out the window in this series. I know they lost in 7 games, but when the Nuggets were lost a lot, and they were lost a lot offensively in this series, they would turn to Jokic, and he would get them back on track. He'd get them back in the game, and sometimes they'd even win the game. And they went all the way to 7 games. Murray was hurt. Porter looked off. I mean, they just didn't have a rhythm a lot in this series, and Jokic put them back on track. To me, he earned the MVP with his play in the 7 game series, or at least he solidified why he was MVP. So I know they went home, but it's hard to win in this league. There's so many teams that are good on any given year. So I wouldn't hold it against Nuggets that they lost. I mean, they lost in 7 games and they were kind of beat up. They lost to a team that really put it together and is hungry to do something. They have never won a title in their franchise. The Nuggets are the first, they did that last year. Now it's the Wolves want that. They want to see what that feels like. So have we covered all the series? I think that's all of them so far, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we
Okay,
missed
so
anything.
let's move right into predictions now. And since we're already talking about the Wolves and the Mavericks now, let's do that. So what do you got, T? Wolves and Mavericks.
I have it going to 7. I have the Wolves in 7 because I think the edge in that series is going to be the big men. I think it's going to have to come down to can PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, the collective big men that the Mavericks have match up to Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. You
Okay.
also have Anthony Edwards, but I think Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving can offset him and Jaden McDaniels. So that's why I try to give the edge to the Wolves in that one. I also do want to monitor Luka's health. If he gets hobbled in any way, that's going to be big because the Timberwolves are really healthy. Luka's going to have to be at his best to win this series because they're in a groove right now. I mean, both teams are, but I would give to the Timberwolves right now, 7-game series.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also going to go 7, and I do think the Timberwolves are going to squeak it out by the hair of their chinny chin chin. But in my heart, though, I really want Kyrie to win. Like, I want him and Luca to win, and I want them to go on to the finals because I think that would be great for Kyrie. I kind of agree with Terrell on the Luca being hobbled thing because there was times in that series before that Luca looked banged up. They were
Yeah.
roughing him up out there. Like, I mentioned that a couple times. I was like, bro, they're playing football or basketball with Luca right now. Like, they're roughing Luca up. So hopefully he's gotten like a little bit of rest and he's raring to go. For me, I think if Kyrie and Luca are at their best, I don't know like what percentage they're at, but if they're at their best, even 90%, and they're playing the way that we think they can play, I think the Mavs are gonna squeak it out in 7, to be honest with you. Kyrie is Kyrie. And Luca Magic, man. Luca's really good. What worries me with the Mavericks though is the Timberwolves play defense and they got bodies. They got so many healthy bodies over there. Is that gonna wear the Mavs down over time? You know what I mean? Like, are the Mavs gonna start to crack under all of that pressure? Because I think the Timberwolves are, and rightfully so, because they just beat the champs. I think they're going to come out and they're going to be ready to go. Like, I think they finally understand, like, yo, we can go to the finals and we can beat the Celtics if we're on our A game. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like Minnesota is very confident right now. Not to say that Dallas isn't. They're a little more seasoned, right? So they're looking at it like, all right, we won this one. Let's go to the next one. Let's hopefully get right. But I think Minnesota is going to be coming in with a little bit of swag.
I respect both of your guys' opinions. Of course, being a Mavericks fan, I'm not picking the Wolves. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Mavericks in 7, although I think the Mavericks could put the series away even earlier than that. I think
hmm
they match up very well with the Wolves. Ever since the trade deadline, it's fluctuated between number 1 and number 2 defense in the NBA. After we got PJ Washington and Gafford, that completely transformed our team as far as our identity goes.
hmm
And I think the big advantage we have over the Timberwolves is offense. Of course, Anthony Edwards is going to get his points, and so is Cat. But I don't think that as a collective they can keep up with all of our guys. We even got guys off the bench who can go get 10, 15 points. So I think we have better depth pieces in them. I think we have guys that if they're off, someone else can take over passing the ball around. I think the Wolves are a little bit, I'm not going to say one dimensional, but they're completely relying on Anthony Edwards offensively to me. Uh,
Yeah.
so, and I think we can handle that. We showed in the last series that we got our wings that can deal with a guy like that. So, and SGA still got his, but he wasn't that efficient as he normally was in that series, and neither were the guys around him. So, I think we got past the Thunder and the Clippers, who I thought were matchup nightmares and kept me awake at night. For whatever reason, I'm not as nervous about the Timberwolves. They got the 2 big men, and if we didn't have Gafford and our rookie Derek Lively, I'd be very, very nervous about them. But
Oh
Derek
yeah.
Lively's not playing like a rookie. He's playing like somebody who's been in the NBA for several years. And Gafford led the league in field goal percentage and was up there in blocks too. So he's not like he's a slouch. So that's what I'm hoping to see. As far as the Celtics and Pacers, I think we all kind of consensusly believe the Celtics are probably going to run away with that series. The question is in how many games. What do you think, T? Is it going to be a sweep? Do you think they sneak a game or two? What's your final take on the Celtics Pacers series?
I think the Celtics win in 5. I think the Pacers will get one at home. They'll have that crowd behind them, and they'll find a way to get one, I think. But I do think the Celtics win in 5. And it's going to be pretty easily, pretty handy.
Sweep. I think it's a sweep. I'm just being real with y'all. I think the Pacers are getting swept, and uh, I think tonight's game by the Pacers is exactly why they're going to get swept. Their execution down the stretch was so poor. They literally were about to steal it, and they just fumbled it so many times. Turnovers, bad decisions by Halliburton. Like, that was not pretty to watch as a Lakers fan. I'm rooting for the Pacers. I'll be honest with you. I'm rooting for you guys, and you guys just keep making horrible mental mistakes that, let's be honest, if you're actually a fan of basketball and you have even maybe 20% IQ of the game, you know that you're not going to win with that type of play. Like, you guys have to come out. They play hard, so I'm not going to say you have to come out and play hard, but you have to execute at a level that's way higher than where you guys were in the regular season. So for me, the Pacers still seem like they're a little too young for this moment, and they're gonna make a lot of mental mistakes that cost them in this series. It just feels inevitable that the Celtics are gonna sweep them, or maybe gentlemen sweep them, and then go to the finals. Like, it's like I said before, man. This is the easiest road to the finals I've I've seen a team get in a very long time. And because it's the Celtics that are capitalizing off of this, I am super frustrated by that.
Yeah, I'm going to say Celtics in 5-2. Although I think this could be potentially an upset. If the Pacers won tonight, as you mentioned, I think they had a chance to upset the Celtics. The Celtics have had some
Man,
real up and down play in the postseason these last few years. To me, them and the Sixers have had multiple teams put together that they should have won a title and they've not gotten there. Something that we've all talked about off camera is if the Celtics
mhm.
don't win a championship this year, where do they go from there? I think it's ring or bust in my opinion for the Celtics. I mean, they've shuffled through a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
really quality players: Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Marcus Smart, and now they have Porzingis, they have Drew Holiday, they have Derek White. I mean, they still have Al Horford, since Porzingis is hurt. I mean, they've shuffled through almost half the All Stars in the NBA, and they haven't won a title yet with Brown and Tatum. So I'm really curious to see what's going to come of this season if they don't win. Now they have the number one record in basketball this year. They've more or less kind of walked over everybody to get, as you mentioned, they had a pretty easy road to get here with all the injuries that they've seen their opponents have. But if they don't win a ring this year, heads have to roll in my opinion, especially if they don't beat the Pacers here. I mean, the Pacers are a team
Yeah.
that they just put their team together, much like the Mavericks did at the trade deadline. So I don't see any way the Celtics can get past this season without a championship. I know everyone, or a lot of guys in the media might want to focus on how good they are and how they're winning right now, but I'm looking at it like you guys ought to be winning, and you ought to win a ring this year too. I mean, or otherwise it's a disappointment. If I'm a Celtics fan, which I'm not, I want to see a ring finally. I mean, these guys have been there since 2016. They've been in the ECF almost every year and they haven't seen anything come from it. How is a team that consistently good for that long and they haven't seen a championship yet? It's kind of wild to me. But here we are. They have game one on the Pacers, and that's the series for the East: Celtics, Pacers, and Wolves, Mavs in the West. Do you guys have any final comments or anything on these two matchups here?
Oh yeah. I also wanted to put on the Celtics, not to beat a dead horse. But anyway, the Celtics are super expensive. I don't think that it's going to be possible with the new collective bargaining agreement to continue to put so much depth around these guys, right? And if you think about it, it's like you guys have, there's maybe one or two other teams that might have more depth than Boston. Arguably, it just depends on how you feel about it. If you guys have less depth, you're not winning. You couldn't win with almost the most depth in the league. How can I trust you to win with no depth? I'm definitely breaking them up, and I'm definitely sending Jalen Brown somewhere because that contract. I Don't get me wrong. I'm all for players getting their money. I think he deserved it. It is what it is. But I am not paying Jalen Brown all that money to be losing. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna ship you somewhere. we need this depth around Jason Tatum, and hopefully he takes us to the promised land if this doesn't work out. But that's an expensive roster, man. That's a very expensive roster, and it's only gonna get more expensive as the years go by. So you want to capitalize having all this depth, man. Because take it from a Lakers fan, you'll be in some dark days when that money dries up.
What about you, T? Any comments on the Celtics or anything else from these matchups?
I mean, he's not lying. He's got a point. The money is there for the team. They are paying a lot with Porzingis. You have JT. You have Jaylen Brown.
Al Horford's contract's huge too.
Yeah,
hmm
Derek White, Drew Holiday. The time is now. You do have the team to win right now.
Yeah.
I per se wouldn't get ahead of myself just yet. There's a lot of games to be played. There's still a whole, the rest of the playoffs to be played. So I'm not gonna go as far as to say to break them up just yet. If there was a total collapse and you lose to the Pacers, yes, break them up. But
Oh, for sure, for
me
sure.
personally, if I'm the GM and we lose in the finals, this team right here, I wouldn't break them up. I'd run it back and maybe next year break them up. But that's just me. But I think the Celtics are poised right now to make a run as the Timberwolves are. If I had to make a finals prediction, which I won't right now, just because for the sake of where we're in the conference finals, but I think the Celtics take this in 5, and it's their time to seize the moment if they want it.
It's their year. They need it. They need it. They're the best team in basketball throughout the whole season. It wasn't even really close. So this is their year for sure, no doubt about it. So that's pretty much the matchups in the NBA this time. I wanted to go over just very briefly here a couple of topics here. Well, really just one topic. The WNBA. The rookies have definitely had their struggles. I think all of them have been struggling, but no more than Caitlin Clark, whose team is 0-4, and she leads the WNBA in turnovers right now. She has more turnovers than
Six.
assists. What are your guys' thought on all the rookies? This is probably the best rookie class ever, and all of them are pretty much struggling.
I predicted this, even though I'm a huge fan of all of these rookies. I thought, let's pump the brakes. A lot of these gals are really dope. They're gonna be great,
Yeah.
but you also got to think they're walking into a professional setting. These are legends that they're playing against. So you got to understand. And there's also some young big dogs already on the block, like your Chelsea Plums, your Asia Wilsons, your Aaliyah Bostons, your Stewies, your Sabrina Nescus. These women have been here and they're not old. They had to go through the same thing that all of these young rookies, your Angel Reese's, Camila Cardosa, your Cameron Brinks, your Ricky Jacksons, all of these lovely ladies who have been killing it. They're just going through their rookie process just as anyone would. It's not a big deal. I think they're doing great. I've never in my life seen the WNBA televised the way it is. You can watch it on ABC, ESPN. The WNBA also has a league pass, so go get that if you haven't.
It's
And
35
it's a
bucks.
fun time to be a WNBA fan right now. But they're just going through their rookie woes. And hey, you got to earn your stripes out here. It doesn't matter what league you're in. You got to earn your stripes.
Yeah, I agree, honestly. And I think it kind of is messed up a little bit because Diana Taurasi got a lot of hate for saying before this, like, yo, this is a grown woman's league. Be careful what you ask for when coming over here. A lot of people were upset with her, like, oh, she's hating, she's hating. But the
A lot of
reality of
people
it,
owe her an apology.
yeah, the reality of it is like these are grown women with families, a livelihood. If you think it's hard to get in the NBA, it's even harder to stay in the WNBA because there's less spots, there's less eyes, like there's less everything. So when you do get in there, I think even the 15th or not 15th, the 12th person on the roster there is going to be like, yo, I'm not playing, but I'm going to give you everything I got in practice because I want to be on this roster. I want to be playing because like T was saying, right now is a very prime time in the WNBA. If you're watching, you're seeing history. These women are getting paid more, not what they should be. Let me clarify that. But their game is advancing to a place to where we're gonna look back and be like, those were the highlight years. The coverage is getting better. They're finally getting their charter flights. There's a lot of WNBA players that are not happy with that. I won't go into that because it could be a whole other topic, but they're making the progress that we've literally been screaming for years. So this is a perfect time for anybody that's into basketball, period, tune into the women's game. Like, support them. And like Terrell was saying, get the league passes, $35 for the whole season. You know what I mean? So I would look in a little bit, man. You're watching history right now. I'm very proud of where the women's game is going. And I think Caitlin Clark will be fine, man. Like, she's gonna take some lumps. It's gonna be very ugly this first year. And if you think it's gonna be different, 0-4 will tell you the truth. So, but I do think she'll be fine at some point. She has to adjust to the game, you know.
She'll be fine. And when she figures it out, good
Yeah,
luck.
Yeah,
yeah.
and all the money that it's not just her, of course, but all the money that's being brought. I don't know if you guys saw the signature basketball collection that only since the first
Mhm.
person since Jordan to have gotten it. So the hype
Mhm.
is real. The money that's coming in is real. The sponsors, they know I mean, they're not going to shell out that money unless they know they can get it back. So this is a big deal for not just the WNBA, but for women's sports in general. I mean,
Yep.
growing up in middle school and high school playing sports, when we're all similar sizes of girls, some of the girls try to play with us, and they were on the team until we got a little bit bigger than them and stronger than them. And some of the schools I went to, they didn't get a team once they were not able to play with us anymore. They didn't have their own basketball team. So this kind of stuff here makes that possible. It makes not only just professional sports better, but it makes the amateurs better. It makes
Yep.
middle school, it makes high school. They're all going to want to play now. There are all these young girls right now in middle school are looking at Caitlin Clark. They're looking at Angel Reese, and they want to play basketball. They're going to start asking their parents, "Why doesn't our school have a women's basketball team?" And they're going to wonder. They're going to wonder what that's about, and start transferring to schools that do. This is a big deal for not just professional basketball, but for women's sports in general. So that, I'm glad we're here to see this happen, and I'm glad we're here to report on it too. So we're if you like to hear more about women's sports, you write in the comments about it. And I wanted to say this too. We haven't really been pushing this, but please subscribe. I noticed when I looked at the analytics the other day,
Yeah.
only 27% of you are subscribed to the pod or that watched this last podcast episode were subscribed to the channel. So subscribe to the channel, please. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be covering the NBA. We'll cover the NFL. We'll cover the WNBA, and whatever other sports you want us to cover, we'll cover those too. So I put up a poll, and I'm warning you guys. The poll was college basketball and college football. People wanted to see some coverage of that. Now, you guys are a
Okay.
little bit lucky right now because it's off season, but we're going to have to cover that too. So
All right. All right.
any
We'll get
any
into it.
any closing thoughts from either of you before we get off here?
Yeah, stick with us, man. We're growing, we're learning, we're gonna get better at this. And as we grow, we want you guys to grow with us. So, like you said, please subscribe and just your feedback is welcome, and we thank you for rocking with us.
All right,
Yeah.
awesome.
Same, same. Like, subscribe, comment, talk to us. Whatever you guys want to hear, whatever you guys want to see, let us know. If you don't like our audio, let us know, man. I mean, we're we're new to this and we're still trying to get better. Hopefully, we're gonna be putting out more videos, more content. We'll do this a lot more consistently. Like we're gonna make it hopefully get to a point to where you guys have something super enjoyable to watch often. So let us know how y'all feel and let us know what you want to see.
Yeah, some quick notes from the channel. We do have more videos coming up. As a matter of fact, this week we have a video on Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather Jr., the fight that really got his career going, that started the Mayweather era and the awesome undefeated career that he had. So that's going to be up on Wednesday. We have more videos coming next week and the following week as well. So the train's moving. Everyone get on board. But I wanted to ask you guys, where can they find you? Where can the people find you on social media? T, where can they find you if they want to follow you or check out your music?
You can find me on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your music at QuiteTrill.
How about you, Q? Where can they find you?
The same. iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your music. I'm Childish King Lito. There's not a ton of music, but I got a little bit out there. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Childish King Lito. The same on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, but I don't know. You don't have to hit me up on Facebook.
I'm only on Threads right now. HookShot Drew. We do have a Superb Sports Media account for Instagram and Threads. You can follow us there. We do post our YouTube links up on there as well as the podcast. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and close this off. I am HookShot Drew.
I'm T.
I'm Q.
Please be sure to subscribe for more. Thank you and be kind.
Hey, love y'all. Be safe.
the bone. Might take